If you love this prose entry, then God will make you rich. I was going to say if you like this prose entry, but I'm pretty sure people who like it won't receive the same amount of awesomeness as people who love it. So if you're sitting there right now debating if you're going to love this prose entry or not, I guess the real question is, do you like money and a really nice car and having a good marriage and polite children and well-defined eyebrows? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then get ready to be blessed. In Stuff Christians Like by Jonathan Acuff. One time, I went to an R-rated movie with a friend who works at a church. On the way out, he recognized two people who knew him. He grabbed me before they recognized us, and we hid out into the hall until they were gone. Turns out they waited for us in the hall. I didn't work at the church, so all I had done was commit a regular sin. But my friend had broken some sort of church employee, never see the movie Desperado starring Latin sensation Antonio Banderas covenant. So I immediately threw him under the bus, saying, "It's embarrassing, really, seeing pastors behave like this. The three of us, we're all just normal Christians. But this guy's a professional. He should be ashamed." Then I swore for emphasis, but it was one of those okay swears, so it wasn't that big of a deal. For Christians, we think it's completely okay to watch R-rated movies and HBO programs, but only if they got that because of violence. If they're rated R because someone is getting their head cut off, or there's a battle so gory that blood splashes on the camera lens, don't worry, God's cool with that. However, if the movie is rated R because of sexuality, well, I hope you enjoy your fold-out couch bed in hell. It's going to be a hot one indeed. I'm not sure where this rule came from, but it's true. Not only do Christians watch violent R-rated movies, we'll quote them from the pulpit, build sermon series around them, and even show clips of them during our service. I call it the Braveheart rule, and it's my theory because of the Old Testament. Have you ever actually read any of the Old Testament? It's hardcore. Samson smashes people in the head with a donkey jawbone. A priest runs a spear through two people having a sex. David carries Goliath's head around like a bowling ball. I think some Christians see that and assume, cool, God's down with some violence. R-rated movies, here we come. But if there's any nudity, if a single nipple makes a cameo at any point, forget it. You can throw that piece of nonsense in the trash. We'll have to wait until they show the edited version on TBS. If I ever own a Christian bookstore, I'm going to call it Stuff Christians Buy. I already know what my first bestseller is going to be. I'm going to package the movies Braveheart, The Matrix, and The Passion of Christ together, and it's going to be called The Fight, The Future, and The Father. And the headline on the posters will say stuff like, "It's not the trilogy of movies, but the trinity of movies." Or the simple but powerful, "By God's favorite movies." Since Braveheart is obviously God's favorite movie, what about his favorite sport? Well, when you're a sports fan, you often find yourself praying that your team does well, even if you're not a person of faith. Sometimes God doesn't answer your prayers, and hockey fans, it's not because he doesn't like your team, it's because he doesn't like your sport and ignores all of your prayers, no matter which team you support. Well, as for the other sports, which one does God love the most? I think it's quite clear that the answer is soccer. Historically, the best footballing nation has been Brazil. You know what else Brazil has? A giant statue of Jesus. If you want your sport and your team to be blessed, statues speak louder than words. When you're attacking the opponent's goal, a pass into the box is called a cross. And I think we all know how important a cross is. Soccer is often known as a global game, as the popularity of the sport has reached Judea, Samaria, and even the ends of the earth. There's even a tournament every 4 years called the World Cup. Baseball, on the other hand, only has a World Series by virtue of one Canadian team playing in the Major League. There are 11 players on a soccer team, and Jesus had 11 people on his team. Judas doesn't count, since he got himself a red card. You would think the New Orleans Saints are the most Christian sports franchise, since they were named in part because of the large Catholic population in New Orleans around the 1960s. But when it comes to Christian team names, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim stand head over shoulders above the rest. What steals the deal with this name, and I only took 1 year of Spanish in junior high, but I'm pretty sure this English translation of Los Angeles is the Angels. This means their team name is literally the Angels of Anaheim. With that ridiculous double reference to Heavenly Harpist, they take the cake as the most Christian sports franchise. They would also lay claim to the most absurd sports franchise name if it wasn't for the existence of the Utah Jazz. Fans of the Dallas Cowboys have long argued that the Cowboys are God's team, citing the fact that there's a hole over Texas Stadium so God can keep an eye on the action. What Cowboy fans fail to realize is that they are, in essence, saying God is not capable of seeing through the man-made materials like steel. Feel free to remind them of this next time one of them plays the hole in the roof card. Really? You worship a God that doesn't have X-ray vision? Does he need binoculars too? What happens when it's cloudy? Does he just watch the game on TV? Besides, we all know that God's favorite team couldn't possibly be the Dallas Cowboys.